Sam Valentino, private toon detective here, and I've been doing a little investigating on a pretty obscure Warner Brothers animation series. They've had quite a few shows that ended up airing only one season, even just 13 episodes during the kids' WB days. But one of them kind of intrigues me. One that people have long accused of ripping off a Disney animated series, which isn't surprising, given Disney and Warner Brothers Animation's longtime rivalry, which started to get bitter during the Silver Age, but nowhere as mean-spirited as during the 2000s. The show I'm talking about is Detention, created by Bob Doucette and aired on the WB network from 1999 to 2000. From the start, people have often compared it to Disney's successful Saturday morning cartoon Recess, running from 1997 to 2001. For one thing, the titles are both based on a typical public school period, and both shows involve kids at said school dealing with some kind of overly strict female teacher. But the similarities really end there. For one thing, while Recess involves elementary schoolers, Detention is about middle schoolers. Heck, middle school doesn't even have recess the way elementary school does. Though the main group of kids in Detention are 6th graders, while the 3rd Street School in Recess goes from kindergarten to 6th grade. As that was back when 6th grade was still generally a part of elementary school, the way it was when I was a kid. But some middle schools back then were grades 6 to 8, like the Benedict Arnold Middle School in Detention. And even more of them nowadays are like that. Also, the main group of preteens in Detention are very different from the main kid cast in Recess. We have Sharina, a 12-year-old free-thinking goth girl voiced by Tara Strong, who has a pet pig, and she was one of the main focuses of the show. There's also Shelley, an amazing nature girl type of teacher's pet, voiced by Pamela Burton, whom you may remember voicing Lucy Van Pelt in A Boy Named Charlie Brown and Fern in the Hanna-Barbera Charlotte's Web. Then we have Emmett, voiced by Billy West, an Agent Mulder type conspiracy theorist boy who's obsessed with aliens and proving their existence, along with his good friend Jim, who's obsessed with superhero comics, especially the DC Comics ones, taking advantage of this being a Warner Brothers series. Then there's Ramon, aka Gug, a Hispanic voice voiced by Carlos Alvarezaki, who's often left out of sports and similar competitions because of his short stature and his equally short temper. And there's Duncan, a boy who looks like a human version of Simon from the Alvin Show. And he never speaks but can spell out words with his yo-yo skills. And finally, twin sisters Orangella and Lemongella, the brainy ones who keep trying to outdo each other, being voiced by Tia and Tamara Mowry, the stars of WB's sitcom Sister Sister, that just wrapped up at the time. The strict teacher they have to deal with is Miss Kiskillia, a former military sergeant from the Marines who works as the girls' gym teacher and also serves as the detention warden. As such, she treats her students as if they were in the military.
Detention!
People compare her to the stern yard teacher in Recess, Miss Finster, but again, it's a very different job she has compared to Miss Kiskillia. And in the direct-to-video movie finale, Recess taking the 5th grade, she ends up becoming the kid's 5th grade teacher. And sometimes Miss Finster and Miss Kiskillia can be nice if caring if the plot calls for it. But Miss Kiskillia rarely sides with the preteens and still acts pretty tyrannical to them. And she does have a few hidden deaths, like being a part-time female wrestler, or in one of my favorite instances, she has long flowing hair that she usually hides by tying it in a really short bun. The main premise of Detention is that the group of preteens mentioned keeps trying to stay out of trouble in school, but failing to do so and ending up in detention. The opening theme song pretty much explains it.
It doesn't matter what we do or say, 'cause the teachers always get their way. When we try to sit and pay attention, we always lose control and wind up in detention. Detention, uh-oh.
We're running in the halls now, we're riding on the walls now. Detention, uh-oh.
There's yet another difference from Recess, as that show uses an instrumental theme song. Also, overall, Detention is a lot denser and wackier than Recess, and even the animation proves this. It was outsourced to Wang Film Productions in Taiwan, one of Warner Brothers Animation's go-to subcontractors in the 90s for comedic cartoons. And it can get similar to their wacky animation in Tiny Toon Adventures and Animaniacs, even with the character designs and the digital coloring. Heck, at least by this time, Wang Film had a better computer system than the one they were using just years earlier. As expected, it also uses a lot of Warner Brothers sound effects, both classic and contemporary. Anyways, the show was fairly popular when it first premiered in September 1999 on Kids WB's Saturday morning lineup, even rivaling their breakout hit Pokemon in the ratings. It helped the show was heavily promoted then, but halfway through the show's run, Detention got screwed by the network, as even with its rating success, the WB network soon figured it wasn't the kind of show they wanted, as they're preparing to gradually phase out comedic cartoons in favor of more action-adventure-based ones. There were also a lot of tensions between Warner Bros. Executives and the show's creative team, according to creator Bob Doucette. Later in the show's original run, they ended up moving it to a Saturday morning def slot, 11:30 a.m., and later on it was rerunning Kids WB's Friday afternoon block until the fall of 2001, and it hasn't aired anywhere on TV since. It was never even rerun on Cartoon Network or even Boomerang, the way many of Warner Bros. Animation's other TV shows were, even if said show also only lasted 13 episodes. I mean, this isn't necessarily like Warner Bros. Trying to bury all existence of Coconut Fred's, Fruit Salad Island, and Lunatics Unleashed years later, as Cartoon Network and Boomerang still outright refuse to rerun those shows in North America, even to this day. But they also used to be like that with Shaggy and Scooby-Doo Get a Clue and the 2003 Looney Tunes shorts, and those have aired on Boomerang for at least a year now, off and on, in addition to MeTV Toons. Also, Detention got released on DVD through Warner Archive in 2019, so at least in a way they aren't that ashamed about the way they are with the Lunatics and Coconut Fred. But it's a real puzzler how Warner Brothers chose to not syndicate the reruns of Detention to Cartoon Network or Boomerang, even with its little popularity, and they also rerun a couple of other equally short-lived Warner Bros. Series, as I mentioned. But, like I said, at least Warner Archive released the entire Detention series on DVD, and it can also be purchased on iTunes, Apple TV, and Amazon's Prime Video on Demand platforms. Before that, roughly half of the show is even considered lost media because of it not being rerun anywhere after 2001. But only lost in the sense of there not being any home recordings. Compare that how you can't even purchase Coconut Fred's Fruit Salad Island on such video-on-demand platforms or on physical media. And with Detention's short-lived popularity, it's pretty interesting, as after years of falling behind ABC's Disney's One Saturday morning block in the ratings, Kids WB now had a major hit with acquiring the Pokemon anime, and Detention garnering just as high ratings as Pokemon was a difficult feat back then, especially since both shows were often promoted together. A memorable TV spot where Detention was one crossing over with the real Batman.
This stinks. I'm getting out of here.
You'll never get past her.
But Batman can. I'm free! I'm free! Huh?
Aren't you supposed to be in detention? Do you have a hall pass?
Right here.
This isn't a hall pass.
No escaping!
Daytime shot! I like Superman better anyway.
I heard that.
So it's clear Warner Brothers is still way more ashamed of Coconut Fred, perhaps more so than Lunatics Unleashed, which, while it's never been rerun on Cartoon Network or Boomerang here at all, is indeed available to purchase on Amazon Prime Video and iTunes, but that's it. Similar case to Detention, but I still have to wonder if Warner Brothers was ashamed of that show at one point, which is why after 2000 it never saw the light of day here again until near the end of this past decade. I mean, it wasn't as critically trash as Coconut Fred or Lunatics or Shaggy and Scooby-Doo Get a Clue, as I recall, And it was pretty popular during the first half of its run until the WB network decided to bury it. So I'm not sure what went wrong. It'd be interesting to try and find out why this happened. I mean, with Coconut Fred, most people claimed it was an annoying ripoff of SpongeBob SquarePants, and it did indeed feel like so. Even Coconut Fred's voice actor, Rob Paulson, thought the same thing. While Lunatics Unleashed and Shaggy's Scooby-Doo Get a Clue were both tampering with two of Warner Bros. Animation's big legacy properties, straying far away from what both franchises were known for. Maybe this means someday MeTV Toons will rerun Detention, since they can also rerun such short-lived shows on a weekly basis. And they have run a few newer Warner Bros. Animation productions as well. But I guess that wraps up this little caper for now. So keep watching this channel to see whatever happens here next.